Hello, my friends. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery. Excuse me, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I will tell you more about who's on that show as this live stream continues. And I'll do the live stream right up until the time that I start to record the radio show and into the first segment of the radio show. Cliff, good morning. How are you? Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Good morning, Craig. How are you? Always a pleasure, buddy. Love talking to you in person and here online as well. Hello, Ross. Oh, thank you. Ross is talking about the beautiful pictures from the wedding. It was a wonderful, blessed, emotional, intense, wonderful, long weekend. I'll tell you more about that coming up here. Hey, Jim, good morning. How are you, buddy? Captain Jim. Robert, Brent. Hey, Brent, I didn't, I got your pictures. And I was so wrapped up in everything from last weekend, I just didn't have a chance to respond or to post them. But congrats, I will post them. I was just trying to catch up, and well, last weekend was a pretty whirlwind weekend. Charles, good morning. Jerry, good morning. Ron St. Louis, my good friend from Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters up in White River, Ontario, Canada. How are things up your way, Ron? Has it cooled down there yet? It's just hot and muggy and miserable still down here for about one more day. Uncle Johnny, thank you so much for joining us last weekend and sharing in our celebration. You and you and Aunt Debbie, it was just so nice to have you there. I appreciate all your help and your support, and I look forward to getting together with you guys tomorrow afternoon as you old retired people. Oh, I'm not retired yet. Can do. Randy, good morning. Ruben, how are things in Colorado? Brett says, exciting time of year. Hunting season is coming up, and so is some of the best fishing. Amen to that. Brent says, beautiful pictures of the wedding. Thank you. Thank you. Jim says, your daughter was a beautiful bride. What an honor to be there to marry them. It was truly one of the highlights of my life. She married an Indian guy, so there was a 5-day Aditya Gangadharan. Really nice guy. I like him a lot. I could not be happier with who my daughter has chosen for a husband. But because of their culture, it's a long celebration. It was like a 5-day wedding. And I'm a little bit tired, but it was so much fun. So much fun. And then to be able on Sunday at the Christian ceremony to walk her down the aisle and then turn around and perform the marriage ceremony was just overwhelming. First time I saw her in that dress, I just broke down and cried. There were a lot of tears that weekend, and they were tears of joy, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Good morning, Kevin. Good luck to all the Michigan first season bear hunters, which I am not one. Hopefully you are, Kevin. Hey, Josh, how are you, buddy? Thanks for being along with us this morning on Behind the Mic. Brian, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. So a few things I want to talk about before we get into the show. We're now fully into September, aren't we? Patrick checking in from the Flint GM truck plant. Justin leaves on his first bear hunt next week. What area, Justin? What bear management unit are you hunting? Bear hunting is an absolute riot. Bear hunting, my favorite outdoor activity. I would rather bear hunt than turkey hunt or certainly deer hunt. I don't know if I could pick bear hunting over walleye fishing, but because you can walleye fish for months. Bear hunting is short-lived. Kearney. I don't know that area at all, Justin. Speaking of bear hunting, the Bear Whisperer, Johnny Bowler. Johnny's got some hogs coming into it, some tanks, we call them. Some tanks coming into his baits. Randy, good morning. Christina, good morning. Christina, I don't recognize your name. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Behind the Mic. With me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. I will start to record the show in about 12 minutes. 12 minutes. But between now and then, we have some time to talk. The Liberty Hunt and the Youth Hunt are this weekend. I will be out there Saturday morning with my grandson Carter. My good friend Scott Gatsa is allowing us to hunt his property, even though he won't be there. He'll be out of town unexpectedly, but he said you have the run of the place, and I appreciate that. His only stipulation, does only, no bucks, does only, and I think that is a very, very reasonable request. So we'll be out there Saturday morning. It's supposed to have cooled down by then. So we'll see if we can put that Brent 350 Legend to work. Paul checking in from Presqu'île. Mike, good morning. Tim, good morning. How are you? John, nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. I want to see your pictures from the youth hunt. I want to post as many pictures of smiling kids over deer as I possibly can. Will I be at the Woods and Water Show this weekend? Probably not. Good morning, Mad Jack. How are you? Positivity, right, Johnny? You can psych yourself out. Ed, good morning. How are you? I got to talk to you probably later this afternoon, Ed. If I get a chance, I'll give you a call. If not, tomorrow morning. And thanks for the tip on Eric Carlson, who is on the show this week, as you know. I want to see all the pictures I can and hold the tongue in the pictures. Yeah, thank you. I'll follow up on that. I want to put the youth hunt in as positive of a light as possible. I got a note here about pictures and tongues. Thank you, Craig. So many people are against the youth hunt, which I think is ridiculous. So let's post as many positive pictures as we can. Now, I have seen a lot of pictures from the youth hunt. I will also be hunting with my grandson. He has his license. Do I need one also? No, Jerry, you don't, because you're not hunting. You're out there with him, but you're not hunting. He is the hunter. You are there as his mentor, as his supervisor, as his guardian. I don't know what the word would be. But no, Jerry, since you are not hunting, you don't need a license, but your grandson does. John, I don't disagree with that. I think the youth hunt should be does only as well. I agree with you 100%. Although in some parts of the state you can't shoot does, so that wouldn't work. Excellent. Interesting point. Jim says he's not sure he agrees with the new youth hunt regulations. May shoot more than one animal as long as they have a tag for each. Why not limit it to one animal for this special hunt? I kind of agree with you, Jim. No sense getting greedy, right? Take them out there, get them an animal, and show them what a special experience that is. Good morning, Cap. How are you, Doug Ward? Hunter Joe, good morning, big guy. I wish more people had your friend's outlook on harvesting does. There are too many in a lot of areas. Justin follows up. Justin, MUCC, they're allowed to shoot one antler deer and as many does as they have a tag for. One buck and as many does. Morning, Jerry. How are you? There you go, Jerry. Brent says one deer per hunter during the youth hunt. That's what you'd like to see, Brent, and that's what always used to be, but not anymore. One antler deer and as many does as you have tags for. I would support a does-only youth hunt. Oh, check this out. We have a new DNR director. Scott Bowen. I wouldn't know him if he walked up on the street. I don't know him at all. I know that he is a former lottery commissioner, a former lobbyist, an attorney from the west side of the state. That's all I know. I will try to get him. Oh, Elliot's a step ahead of me. Elliot says, I see we have a new DNR director, not good for hunters. I will try to get Scott Bowen on the radio show as soon as I can. I haven't heard any feedback on him. In fact, Ed, I have reached, to answer your question, Ed, I have reached out to some people behind the scenes who do know him to get their impression, to see what they think, because I don't know anything about him. Our governoress, our illustrious leader, I'll leave it at that, Says Scott Brown will lead us in historic renovation and upgrades at state parks. Apparently, she thinks that's the most important thing she's going to do because that's the thing that she said as kind of the headliner in her news release. I do find this interesting because Dan Eichinger, when he was DNR director, and this goes back 5 years at least, maybe, I don't know. I heard him say in person while speaking before the Michigan Bear Hunters annual convention early on in his tenure that one of his priorities was to renovate our state park system. Well, now it's several years later, and that's still a goal. Now, in Dan's defense, and I like Dan a lot, I really did and do like Dan Eichinger. I knew him from when he was executive director at MUCC. So he came to the job with some credentials. I think he wasn't able to go down that road because CWD popped up and screwed up everything. That's where all the funding went. Elliot's going to help me out here. Elliot says he has no real wildlife background, more for the park and campgrounds, and is more money-driven. It's become a business, not about the resource. Hunter Joe says, yep, another career lobbyist, politician, go figure. So I'm going to try to keep an open mind on this one because I don't know the guy. But wouldn't it be nice to get a DNR director who was a hardcore hunter and angler and a conservationist rather than let me rephrase this. Does our DNR director need to be a hunter and angler, or is it better to have somebody who is a good manager and have hardcore hunters and anglers under his direction? I believe that if we had a real good manager, even a politician, who would listen to the experts on his staff, I think that would be okay. So I'm going to try to keep a positive light on this because I don't know the guy. I don't get a warm and fuzzy, but I don't know the guy. Ed says, can't we have both? It would be great, wouldn't it? Good morning, Dave. How are you, buddy? You snuck in on me. Elliot's okay. So Elliot's got some insight, and he said that's coming from people who know him and those in the NRC. Great. This sounds like just what we need then, huh? A politician who is our governor, and you can see what she's done for us, appointing another politician / lobbyist to lead the agency that has a lot of control over how we spend our free time. John says, I think if you take someone on the youth hunt, you need to have a license to do, and you both need to wear Hunter Orange. I will be wearing Hunter Orange Saturday morning, John. I don't know why the mentor would need to have a license because the mentor isn't hunting. Are you quite convinced of that, John? Because if you are, I will respect that. But I just don't know why the mentor on a youth hunt, the adult, would have to be licensed. The kid, obviously, and yes, you both have to wear orange, even if you're bow hunting. Hunter Joe says the problem with that is the experts on his staff might be handpicked by him. Absolutely. Justin says they changed it in June. Yes, with the antlers tags. Jerry, good morning, Mike. Beautiful wedding pics. Pretty amazing. You got to walk your daughter down the aisle and perform the ceremony. It was, Jerry, I was saying this just a minute ago. It was the most emotional, beautiful, intense, wonderful, rewarding, blessed experience of my life. Honestly. We're still coming down from it, my wife Denise and I, because it was a 5-day celebration in Detroit at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. This was a big deal. And to be able to do that, I mean, it was, I'm still coming down, but it was outstanding. I don't know, Eli. Eli said that should be an elected position. I don't really trust our state's voters either. Now, I trust our state's voters more than I trust our state's governor. That's for damn sure. But our voters are the ones who elected that last governor. So I'm not sure I trust our voters either. Chris says, good morning, Mr. Mike. Good luck to all the bear hunters with Johnny Bowler. Good morning, Tim. How are you? John says he's pretty convinced of that. All right. I'll go with it because I'm going to have my license, John, so I know I'm covered. Captain Doug Ward, I'm with you, Mike. Give us a get her done person who empowers his staff and listens to them, then makes decisions based on those experts in their areas and fields, which I feel is kind of what Dan Eichinger was. Good morning, Billy. Good question to ask Mike Avery. Justin from MUCC would know the mentor needs to be 21 and be a licensed hunter. Okay, you were right, John. I never doubted you, John. I was just asking the question. So you have to be 21 and a licensed hunter. If all hunters were as organized, according to Elliot, as the houndsmen and bear hunters, we could turn this ship around in accountability with the DNR government. The Michigan bear hunters are pretty tight group. They know how to get things done, so I don't disagree, Elliot. Tommy says, good morning, Mike. Congrats to your daughter and son-in-law. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that very much. Interesting. Charles says, I thought everyone afield had to have at least a base license to be on public lands while hunting in any season. I don't know, Justin. What can you tell me? I'll tell you what, Tim. Tim says, being the father of the bride is better than fishing. You know how much I love to deer hunt? I mean, you know how much I love to bear hunt, and you know how much I love to walleye fish? Being father of the bride was exponentially, and then being able to perform the ceremony, exponentially more wonderful than either of those activities. Honestly, like I said, I'm still coming down off this high. It was probably the best weekend and certainly one of the best experiences of my life. It was just wonderful. John says, some experts say that I can't pick up an apple that's on the ground and move it in front of your tree stand. That's not expert. Mark, good morning, buddy. How are you? I look forward to seeing you in Ohio coming up here in just a very short few weeks. Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Charlie, you'll notice that there is a bin on your right. It is filled with chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, my goodness.
Those are chocolate chip cookies made by my wife, Denise. You have had her cookies before, I believe.
Yes.
And you know how absolutely obscenely good they are. Now, these were baked a few days ago for the wedding, so they're not as fresh as they normally are, but you might enjoy a couple of them this morning anyway. Where are they? Not only licensed, but hold a recreational pass to be on state land. See, now I think we're getting carried away here. And Eli, no disrespect, but not only licensed, but hold a recreational pass to be on state land. What the hell is a recreational pass? I don't have one. I go on state land. What's a rec pass? And I'm so sick of regulations. Aren't you? Aren't you, honestly? I mean, aren't you sick of regulations? I will buy my hunting license. I will buy my fishing license. But let's not make it so complicated that I have to take my daughter, the lawyer, with me when I go into the field. Let's see. Are you hearing me, Charlie? Did I not plug it in right or what?
No, I think we have a mic problem. We have to go to a different mic pot on that.
Okay. Dave says, congratulations. We had a great weekend. Good morning, Captain Padanzak. How are you, buddy? Tim says, speaking of bears, we have millions of huckleberries. Now, Tim, how does speaking of bears make you think of huckleberries? I know, I get it. Never seen anything like it in the woods. John Wild, a friend of mine who was going bear hunting with his dad, had to buy a license to go with him just to be there. I didn't. Recreational pass on your plate. Well, you need a recreation. See, help me out here again, because I'm ignorant to these things. I thought that that's a state park sticker to get you into a state park at a boat launch. If you're just out on state land, you don't have to have that. Or do you? Because if you do, I'm going to start ragging on that because that's ridiculous. I don't think that's the case. What else? So Dan Eichinger, who was former DNR director, who stepped aside to go over to Eagle, resigned that position earlier in the summer and is now working over at Ferris State University. That was Ferris College when I was there. Ferris State College. That's how long ago I was there. Correct on what, Mark? I've said so many things that I don't remember anymore. Good morning, Ken. Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. I should tell you who's on the show because time is really rapidly waning here on me. First guest this week, Captain Jeff Godey of the Michigan Experience, talking about fishing northern Lake Huron for salmon and trout, and then the Wreck Pass. And then also the early waterfowl season. Then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. The big outdoor weekend is this weekend in Imlay City. In hour number 2, Eric Carlson, a guy that Ed Bolanowski turned me on to. He's an offshore guy, but he's an expert with live scoping. I am fascinated by this technology. We'll talk about that and more. Then Conservation Officer Doug Hermanson on how to stay safe and legal during the upcoming hunting season. Dustin Eisenhoff of the DNR answers this week's Ask Avery question about the online hunting guide. And we wrap it all up with one of Charlie's favorites, Tom Lounsbury, talking about the upcoming hunting season, specifically small game season. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinary Dixie Dave Miner. Doug Ward, who is also a Ferris grad, Ferris State College here too, back when it was $24 a credit. I think when I started, Doug, it was 19. I mean, it was right in 19, 20, 20, 30, maybe somewhere in there. But yeah, a little cheaper than it is now. Good morning, John. How are you? Look forward to seeing you in Ohio in about a month as well. Captain Pananzak has had live scope for 3 years now. You must have got one of the first units, and you must be rich, Mark. You must be rich, because I don't have it. I'd like to get it. I don't have it. Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you use it for trolling or just jigging and perch and such? Over $400 a credit hour now. Wow. It is getting close. Corey has one. He loves it. Corey, I didn't even realize you were such a hardcore... Captain Pananzak says Captain Doug Ward loaned him the money for the live scope. Maybe Doug will do the same for me and I can get a live scope too. I don't know what boat I'm going to put it on since Angler Quest is no longer going to make their big Pro Troll with the Arch. Although Doug took the Radar Arch off his Pro Troll and he says he loves it. Ed says, do we want to do a fish fry first night in Ohio? Why not? Because Ed will be joining us in Ohio as well. Hold on, John. You are driving me crazy. I'm not mad at you, okay? John says, yes, you need that stupid tag on your license plate to be parked on state land hunting or even picking berries. Is this Michigan or is it China? Oh, gosh. I don't like the world the way it is anymore. Use it for jigging, perch fishing, and some trolling. Thank you, Lisa. The wedding was wonderful. Now, in the recreational passport is required for motorized vehicles access to state parks and recreation areas and state-managed boating access sites, state forest grounds, thousands of miles of trails, and other outdoor spaces all year long.
30 seconds.
Anyway, in 30 seconds, I'm going to switch my focus here from talking with you on my social media microphone to switching over to my professional broadcast microphone. I will talk about many of the same subjects that we've been discussing here. So I'm not crazy, although I am crazy. I'm just switching audiences. I would encourage you to join me tonight, if you can, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live on my social... Blast off! So I would encourage you to join me tonight for another edition of Wednesday Night Live Didn't do a Wednesday Night Live last week or a Behind the Mic because I was getting ready for the wedding.
Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you
Okay, I'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock.
by the Eider Insurance.
Feel free to stick around and watch me record the first segment of this radio show if you want. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Try to stay cool. I think tomorrow it's going to be much better, certainly better by the weekend. Have a good day, my friends. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across this wonderful, beautiful, great state of Michigan. So glad to have you along with us. I appreciate your time. A lot of things you could be doing right now, a lot of things you could be listening to, things you could be watching, whatever. And the fact that you can hear my voice means a lot to me. Boy, we are firmly into the month of September now, aren't we? Labor Day is behind us. Hunting seasons are open, many of them. Bear season, early waterfowl season, the Liberty/Youth Hunt is this weekend. I will be. We record the show midweek, right? So this weekend, I can speak in future tense now. This weekend, I will be hunting. Saturday morning, I will be hunting with my grandson, Carter, for the youth hunt. Hunting on my buddy Scott's property. He is unexpectedly out of town, and he has still graciously and generously said, no, you guys come on out. I want you to hunt. I want Carter to kill a doe. And that is the only restriction. He says, I want you to kill a doe, which I think is a very reasonable request. In fact, I've said this before. It wouldn't bother me at all if the youth hunt was does only in, the parts of the state where you can do that. I want to see your pictures from the youth hunt. Send them to me, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I want to post as many positive pictures from the youth hunt as I possibly can. And I don't care if it's a big buck. I don't care if it's a little buck. I don't care if it's a doe. I don't care if it's a fawn. If it's a legal animal and your youth hunter took it during the youth hunt, please let's share those pictures. Again, send me an email with that picture attached to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I want to try to show as many people as possible just what a wonderful event this is. Some people don't like the youth hunt. There are a lot of detractors. There are a lot of complainers. There are a lot of crybabies. There are a lot of selfish hunters who say those kids should not be out there early in the season shooting their deer. Those animals are not their deer. Those animals belong to the state of Michigan until somebody legally puts a tag on them. And if it happens to be a kid, why not? Let's post as many pictures as possible. Now, please keep in mind that we've talked about this before as well. When you take these pictures that will be shared online, will you take 10 seconds, please, and spruce the animal up a little bit? Listen, as hunters, we love an effective kill shot. I'll just put it that way, okay? That's what we want. But it doesn't always make the best picture. So I would ask that maybe you would move the animal a little bit, slide it over a few yards, prop it up so it looks nice, take those front legs and bend it up underneath it. And for God's sake, will you push the tongue back in the animal's mouth so it doesn't look like a cartoon? I can't tell you the number of pictures I get sent to me, and I will post them anyway, but it makes us look goofy when we post pictures online of deer with the tongue hanging out. It makes us look like we have no respect for the game that we are pursuing. So please take the tongue, put it back in the mouth, maybe brush it off, the animal off with some ferns or something, position it nice, get behind it, smile, and take a nice picture. Now, back when the only pictures we had were those that we held in our wallet and in our pocket, and all we were doing was sharing our buddies, it didn't matter what they looked like. But when we start putting them online, keep in mind, it's not just our friends who see them, it's anyone who can see them. And unfortunately, in today's world, we need to portray ourselves as hunters in the most positive light possible. It's kind of a shame that we have to, but we have to. So let's take advantage of the opportunities, the promotional opportunities out there, i.e. social media. Post as many pictures as we can, but post nice pictures. Good, well-composed, beautiful, pretty pictures with smiling kids behind the deer and the tongue in the animal's mouth. Not that big a deal, is it? We have a new DNR director. His name is Scott Bowen. I have no reaction yet because I don't know the guy. I don't know much about him. Never met him. He's a former lottery commissioner, a lobbyist, an attorney from the west side of the state. What I don't know, is he a hunter? Is he an angler? Is he a trapper? I don't think a lobbyist is going to be a trapper. Does he shoot? Is he a conservationist? Or is he a straight up politician? I don't know. But I'm going to try to look at this in a positive light until I learn more. You know, does our DNR director have to be a hunter and angler? Or if they are a good manager who has biologists on his staff who are hunters and anglers, and he listens to them, is that a better option? The news release that our Governor set out on him said, Scott will oversee historic renovations and upgrades at our state parks, which I find interesting that is one of the lead lines that they use in the press release. Of all the things going on in the outdoors in the state of Michigan these days that the DNR has authority over, they rate apparently the highest priority as remodeling and upgrades at our state parks. Now, I don't deny that our state parks need remodeling and upgrades. In fact, Dan Eichinger, early in his term as DNR director, several years ago, I heard him say this myself with my own ears at a Michigan Bear Hunters Convention. He was talking about how one of his goals was to upgrade and renovate our state parks, and he went through the reasons why. And they were valid reasons, and this is years ago. He didn't get the opportunity to do it. Now, I don't know whether that was because, and I think it's because CWD raised its ugly head and sucked all the funding out of everything. So we'll see. Dan Eichinger left as DNR director, went over to Eagle. He has since resigned Eagle, and now he's vice president at Ferris State. Go Dogs. Shannon Lott, who was acting director, I understand, is still going to stay in the DNR somewhere. Again, this week I haven't done anything outdoor related, but I did something so much better. Last weekend, my daughter, Shelby, got married. I told you this last week, this was coming up. Can I just tell you, it was the most emotional, wonderful, intense, beautiful, fulfilling, and blessed event that I think I've ever been a part of. I was able to walk my beautiful daughter down the aisle into the arms of her fiancé, now husband, Aditya, and then walk up on the stage, turn around, and perform the wedding ceremony. I can't imagine a bigger honor or blessing than that. And I will admit, I cried a little. The first time I saw, and this is not outdoor related, okay, but I just got to brag here a little bit. The first time I walked into the room and saw her in that gown, I broke down and I cried like a baby. And so did she. And so did her mom. And so we were all there standing around and we wrapped our arms around each other and we cried and then we prayed. And then everything was good. To walk her down the aisle, oh, it was such a wonderful experience. I got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. So I wish her and Aditya nothing but the best. A long, loving life together. You know, some grandkids eventually wouldn't be a bad idea either. I mean, we've already got 4 grandkids, but a couple more wouldn't be a bad idea. No pressure. Oh, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience and a great blessing. And those of you who are dads who have done this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? How does this little girl go from being a little girl into this beautiful woman who becomes a bride? Oh, thank you, kiddo, for asking me to do that. What else? Oh, here's who's coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I guess I should get back to that, eh? I'm still kind of tired. I got to tell you, after 5 days of partying and celebration, I still don't know if I caught up on my sleep. Jeff Godey, Captain Jeff Godey of the Michigan Experience, talks about Northern Lake Huron fishing this time of year, also the early waterfowl seasons. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News on their big outdoor weekend going on right now. Eric Carlson talks about using live scope to jig for walleye. CO, Conservation Officer Doug Hermanson, staying safe and legal this fall hunting season. Dustin Eisenhoff on why were the hunting guides not available September 1st when the season started. And then we wrap it all up with Tom Lounsbury talking about the upcoming small game seasons, and then wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. My name is Mike Avery. The website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I want to hear from you. Please reach out. Let me know what's on your mind. More coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Brett said he did the same. Thank you. Jerry said it's not bragging. It's something that's so important that God blessed you with. Amen to that. Brett says, I did the same for my niece. She doesn't have a father figure in her life. It was the best day. I've beyond honored and blessed as you walk her down the aisle and perform the ceremony. Me too, Tim. That recreational pass thing baffles you, as it does me. I don't get that. Andrew says, when I got married, we had relatives come in from Germany. I'll tell you, Andrew, about people who love to party. The Indian culture. They can party. All right, my friends. I will be back here tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. As I say, try to stay cool today. I think it's the last miserable day. And we'll talk to you tonight, my friends. Have a good